Om Namaste-stu Mahamaye Shri Pite Sura Pujite Shankachakra Gadaste Mahalakshmi Namostute Om. This is the first line of a chant called the Mahalakshmi Stotram, honoring Shri Mahalakshmi. I learned this chant when I was at the ashram after having had a amazing, impossible to describe in words, mystical experience that I will attempt to describe, knowing that I will absolutely fail. Here we go. One day, this was my first summer at the ashram. I was walking down a hallway, and I could see that there was a big painting on the wall to my right. And as I approached the painting, I could just feel so much Shakti emerging from this painting. And I looked at her, didn't know which goddess this was, and was just so emotional. I just started sobbing and I fell to my knees in the hallway, looking up at her, which I found out later was Mahalakshmi. My left hand went up to my right shoulder. It was her moving my hand to my right shoulder. It was just pure love. When my left hand went to my right shoulder, I could feel her revealing to me in this direct experience that I had been holding the pain of the world in that shoulder. My shoulder had been sore for decades. I always attributed it to all my years of baseball, and I wasn't even able to lift my right arm above my head in those days. And as my left hand was squeezing firmly on my right shoulder, I could feel an energy moving from her through me, and my left hand squeezing very firmly started flowing down my upper arm, squeezing very tight, flowing down past my elbow, down my forearm. My fingers and thumbs were extended out, and my left hand went over my wrist, over the back of my hand, and flowed out the end of my thumb and fingers. And as this happened, I could feel energy flowing out of my fingers and thumb and going out into the universe. This energy was being liberated from my shoulder. And I was aware that I no longer needed to hold this. I could feel her revealing to me that this isn't doing anybody any good for you to hold the pain of the world in this shoulder. And my left hand went up to my right shoulder, and it happened again, very firmly down the upper arm, forearm, over the back of the hand, and out the tips of the thumb and the fingers. Energy just flying out. One after the other, this just kept happening. My left arm would go back up to my shoulder, very firmly squeezing, and the flow would happen again, and again, and again, and again. I don't know how long, but at least 10, 15, 20 minutes, pretty substantial flow of this energy just being released and released and released. And then I could feel that it had come to completion, and I was so grateful. I'm on my way to the next thing, and I found somebody that was a veteran and asked them, who is that painting? And that's when I found out that it was Mahalakshmi, the goddess of abundance. Oh yeah, there was a lot of abundance going on right out the end of my shoulder from her releasing this energy. Day after day, this would happen. Every time I would go by that painting in that hallway, it would happen again and again and again. And we were introduced to this chant, the Mahalakshmi Stotram. And I was so grateful to her for what was happening. I got a cassette tape of that recording that they had in the bookstore. And I would listen to it on my cassette player. And when I would chant it, I would just feel such a powerful feeling of gratitude for what was going on with this. Well, this went on through that summer visit. Now, I'll take us to the part of the journey where I'm on the airplane getting ready to fly home. I'm sitting in the aisle seat. The aisle is to my left, and there's 2 seats to my right. And it's real stuffy in the cabin. We haven't taxied out yet for takeoff, and it's hot and stuffy, and I can feel that I would really like some air. So I reach my hand up to the valve up at the top and open up the air valve so that air can flow. And as I'm doing that, I'm noticing the air flowing down my right arm. And in that moment, I realized, wow, my right arm is healed. There is no pain. And tears came to my eyes of gratitude to Shri Mahalakshmi. Wow, it was amazing. My shoulder was so injured that I probably would have had to go to an orthopedic surgeon and get a rotator cuff surgery. This is the standard treatment for baseball player injured shoulders. I never had done that. In that moment, I realized, wow, it is healed. There's no more pain. From that day on, every drive in my commute from Inglewood, Colorado, where I lived, to Boulder, where I was doing my master's degree, I would put in the cassette tape for this Mahalakshmi Stotram, and I would chant it. And it's a very long chant with many unique Sanskrit verses. And I would put it on when I would drive back. This commute happened for 3 years during that master's degree at Naropa. And little by little, as I would listen to it and honor her and thank her for my healed shoulder, there came a point where I knew the whole chant. As my teacher, Gurumai, used to always say at the ashram, just keep chanting, and there comes a point where the chant starts chanting you. And this had happened with this beautiful gratitude chant to Mahalakshmi. So, all from that day on, I have thanked her with this chant. And in this experience, I became aware of her presence in my life and that she is available to all of us. She is pure love, pure kindness, and an absolute abundance of grace flows from her to us. It's as simple as being available to her and inviting her in. And so to this day, I still chant to her and invite her in and thank her. I'm so grateful. Om Namaste Stu Mahamaye Shri Pite Surapujite Shankachakra Gadaste Mahalakshmi Namostute. That's the first line again. Thank you so much, Mahalakshmi. I'm so grateful. Well, as the years unfolded for me at the ashram, sometimes I would notice that the temple that we would enter into for many of our sacred practices was sometimes closed. And the temple is right down the hallway from that painting on the wall of Mahalakshmi. And on the days that the temple would be closed, I often wondered what was going on in there. So I started asking some of the veterans and people that had been there for many years. And they would say, oh, sometimes the reason the temple is closed is because they're doing Abhishek. Abhi what? Abhishek. There's an H after the B, Abhishek. And so I asked them what they knew about this, and most people didn't know a lot about it because it was very esoteric, very ancient practice. And the people that would be in the temple for Abhishek were Gurmai, the musicians, the swamis, and the Brahmin priests. And this was a ceremony that had been handed down for thousands and thousands of years. A wonderful ceremony where they chant and they honor the murti, whatever the murti is of whatever temple that they're doing Abhishek with. And in this temple that I'm speaking of at the ashram, the murti was of my teacher's teacher's teacher, whose name was Bhagavan Nityananda. Big, tall, bronze statue of Bhagavan Nityananda in the center of the temple. And I was so fascinated with the little bit of information that people had about Abhishek. And so I kept inquiring about it and asking questions about it and couldn't find out more information about it. But I just really wanted to, and I couldn't explain it. I just really wanted to know more about it. Well, as the years unfolded, one summer, it was, in fact, the final summer. I didn't know it at the time, that it was going to be my final summer. It was announced that they were going to have Abhishek and have a closed circuit camera filming the Abhishek from within the temple and feed that live stream to the video screens in the big room down the hall. 2 big video screens, and the rest of us would be in the big room down the hall. You know, there would be hundreds of us in there in the big room. I don't know for sure how many people could fit in the big room, but a lot. And that we were going to get to witness what was going on inside the temple on the video screens. And I was so grateful that we were going to get to see what happens during an Abhishek. So it began. And I'm sitting there on the floor looking up at the screen in front of me, watching this beautiful ceremony. And you could see Gurumai, the musicians, the swamis, and the Brahmin priests, and the murti. And the bathing of the murti is what they do. They bathe it with natural elements. And there's a particular series of chants that go along with all the elements that has been handed down for thousands and thousands of years. So exquisite, so beautiful, and I'm enjoying it so much. So beautiful. I'm crying. I'm so grateful to get to see what happens. And it's so beautiful how they're so honoring this murti of Bhagavan Nityananda as if it were actually Bhagavan Nityananda, taking care of him and bathing him and just honoring and inviting in grace and offering up fruits and flowers and various points. It's just so beautiful. Well, as I'm enjoying this beautiful Abhishek, sitting there on the floor, all of a sudden, someone taps me on my right shoulder. My right shoulder. Yes. My healed right shoulder from Mahalakshmi, whose chant I've been chanting for years, that has been chanting me for years. And I turned to look to see who tapped me on the shoulder. And it's one of Gurumai's assistants. She leans down and whispers in my ear, "Would you like to come into the temple?" As soon as she said this, I was so confused. Come into the temple? No, I'm fine right where I'm at. I don't need to go into the temple. I'm so honored to get to be witnessing the Abhishek on the video screen. I'm just fine where I'm at. In that moment, I imagined that she had gotten the wrong person. Whoever Gurumai had sent her to get and bring into the temple, it clearly wouldn't be me. So I turned back to look at her again to give her a really good look, assuming she'll then leave and realize that she's gotten the wrong person. So I give her a good look, and then I turn back to continue watching the Abhishek on the screen. And she leans down and says it again. "Would you like to come into the temple?" Oh, wow. She really must not have got a good look at me. It's low lighting. Let me give a more sustained look so that she really sees my face and realizes she's gotten the wrong person, and then she'll leave. So I give her a really good long look. She's just looking at me with such kindness and sweetness. And then I turn back to look at the screen, and she taps me on the shoulder again. She says, "Come on now. I've been sent to bring you into the temple. Are you ready to go?" And in that moment, I just felt this wave of unworthiness come over me. It can't be me. It can't be me that is being invited into the temple. There's no way I'm going to go, because as soon as I get in there, they're going to look at me and tell her, you've brought the wrong person. What are you doing? Not him. Get him out of here. No, go get the person we sent you to get." This is what I'm imagining in that moment. And I'm just feeling so frightened and scared. And I know I'm just going to be completely humiliated if I go along with her. And so I'm just going to ignore her, and I'm not going to go. And in that moment, I'm remembering Gurumai's words to us over the years, where she would say, "Humility is the way home." Humility is the way home. And I really took that to heart, that in humility, there's no arrogance, and you're able to connect into your true self in pure humility. And I just wanted to stay in the big room, humbly be here. I don't need any more than this. And then she reaches under my right upper arm and starts to pull, kind of tug me off my meditation cushion. She's not giving up. We're gonna go. And in that moment, I realized, oh, maybe this is how I get a really powerful dose of humility. I go with her. She brings me in there. They tell her, not him. And I get publicly humiliated and sent back to the big room where I was. Okay, here we go. Let's go get totally embarrassed and humiliated. So she's holding my hand so sweetly. We're walking down the hallway. I'm noticing I'm just so afraid of being exposed, of being humiliated, of being embarrassed. And we walk into the temple, and not only did they not say, not him, they all looked at me with such love and compassion as they were continuing to chant the chant that they were in, and the Rudram was the chant they were chanting at the time, and they were all chanting it, and I noticed they didn't even need any Rudram chanting books, and I barely even have ever even heard the Rudram a few times. It's a very long text chant with big words at a very fast pace, and I sit down, and I'm just feeling so terrible because I don't know this chant. They're all chanting it by heart. They don't even need a chanting book. I don't know these words at all. And she, the assistant, notices that I don't know the chant. And so she goes in the back and comes out with a Rudram chanting book for me. And she's paging through it to find where we are and finds it and points to it. And then I jump in to this Rudram chant that I am just failing horribly at. I'm feeling so unworthy, and I was fine where I was, and now I'm totally embarrassing myself because I'm the only one that needs a book, and I'm just fumbling over the words, and I'm just messing up the whole Abhishek, and I'm just feeling terrible about it. Finally, the Rudram comes to an end, and I'm just feeling so grateful that it's complete, and I just want to slink out of the temple and go back to where I was. I'm feeling so embarrassed, so ashamed that I didn't know the Rudram and that I'm just messing the whole thing up. And right as they're going to go to whatever the next chant is and the next element that they use in the ceremony of the Abhishek, Guramai raises her hand up and stops the flow of the Abhishek. And she calls over her assistant. And I realize, oh, this is where she's going to tell her to take me back and get me out of here. So they're having conversation. I can't make out the words. I just hear kind of whispery sounds. And the assistant has a surprised look on her face. And instead of coming to me to make me leave, she goes in the back again. She's now in the back, and she's gone for a little bit. And I see Guramai lean over to the musicians and tell them something, and they're surprised, and they're looking through their chanting books for something. She's clearly changed up the proceedings here. And I've totally messed everything up, and I'm just feeling so terrible about it. The assistant comes out of the door to the back of the temple, and she's got a tray with a stack of chanting books that she's passing out as she goes and stops off with everybody, and each person is grabbing one of the books off of her stack of books on the tray. And she's handing them out to the Brahmin priests, to the swamis, to the musicians. And then when she gets to me and hands me one of the chanting books, it's the chant that I've been chanting for years, honoring Mahalakshmi. The Mahalakshmi Ashtakam Stotram that I know by heart. And in that moment, I can feel this was her way of welcoming me. It felt like she knew that I was so uncomfortable, and she had wanted me to come in. And it was her way of welcoming me and honoring all the years of chanting to Mahalakshmi with this chant. And so I looked at her, and there was a wink on her face to me. And in that wink, it was a nonverbal, direct communication that went right into my heart. And I could feel her communicating to me this: unworthiness is not humility. Just pierced my heart wide open, and I just started sobbing. And her communication was vibrating within me. Unworthiness is not humility. I could feel her invitation to me. Chant with all your heart. Bring the Mahalakshmi Stotram to this Abhishek. Let's honor Shri Mahalakshmi in this way. Chant with all your heart. So I didn't need to pick up the book from my lap because I know this one. And I just felt so welcomed and so grateful to her. As the tears rolled down my cheeks, we began the Shri Mahalakshmi Stotram, and I chanted with all my heart. Oh my goodness. Crying and chanting and thanking Mahalakshmi for another gift on this day where I was invited into the temple to honor her with everyone gathered together as we honored the Murti of Bhagavan Nityananda. And the Mahalakshmi Stotram became a part of that Abhishek. We chanted it and chanted it and chanted it. And I just felt so welcomed and so honored and so loved. It was so simple, so pure, and so natural. The chant came to a completion. I dropped into a deep, pure state of samadhi. The state of consciousness when your attention has just dropped right into Hridayam, the heart of being. No longer in any way captured in limiting thoughts and beliefs of the mind, just completely resting in the heart of oneness. So simple, so natural. And it was like this for quite a long flow for me. And then the Abhishek came to a completion, and I opened my eyes. And one by one, the Brahmin priests and the Swamis and the musicians and then Gurmai would approach the Murti, go down on hands and knees and pranam, bowing their head to the marble floor. And in the full pranam, you're greeting the being from your heart because your heart is higher than your head. You've lowered your head down below your heart in the full pranam. This is the tradition. When you approach a Murti, you bow the mind. You let go of the separate self-identity and greet the being from the heart. And the potential is to realize that the heart of being that they are and the heart of being that you are the same heart. One heart essence permeating all of us. We find each other in that heart, the Hridayam. Oh my goodness. One by one they would go up. And it was so beautiful to witness this. And then they would come upright with their hands together at their heart in Namaste Mudra. And then they would stand up and walk clockwise around the Murti of Bhagavan Nityananda. And when they would come around to the front, the assistant had cut up pieces of fruit from the Abhishek that have the energy of this beautiful ceremony. And they would then eat the piece of fruit as they exited the temple, with the understanding that they take in the energy of this and the spirit of this. And the lovely possibility is to then greet everyone as you exit the temple in the same way that you honored the Murti. Honor everyone, realizing that everyone is a Murti of divine grace. Interact with all beings in this same sacred and very honorable way. One by one, they would pranam, come upright, namaste mudra, walk clockwise around, and receive a piece of the fruit that she had cut up. Next thing I know, I realize everyone has experienced this but me. It's now my turn. So I stand up, walk toward the Murti of Bhagavan Nityananda, and just feel so much gratitude. And I go down on my hands and knees and bow my head below my heart and pranam to Bhagavan Nityananda. And as I'm greeting him in the heart of being and feeling this heart of oneness, I can feel that union, that hridayam. And I'm remembering the phrase that he's known for, that's carved on a wooden plank above the entry to the temple, that says, the heart, this hridayam that we speak of, is the hub of all sacred places. Go there and roam. Oh, this is the invitation. Return to the heart of being and roam from there. Roam in that heart. Let your body roam in that heart. Tears are coming down my eyes in slow motion, and it's as if they're made out of light. And when they land on the marble floor in slow motion, they make musical notes landing on the marble floor, a little symphony of gratitude tears. I come up, hands together in Namaste Mudra at my heart, stand and walk clockwise around the Murti. When I come around to the front, there she is, Gurumai's assistant, and on her tray is a whole plum. For a brief second, I start to default into that place of, oh, I don't need a whole plum. A small piece of fruit would have been just fine. Just a little bit of starting to creep back in there. And from my right, from Bhagavan Nityananda, I can feel just so much love coming right into me and just like clearing that right out. No more of that. Never again. Unworthiness is not humility. True humility is resting in the heart of oneness and living and walking in this truth that we all are. Surrendering to the heart of being is the true meaning of humility, and living our lives from there. So I receive the plum and I thank her and I exit the temple with such gratitude for all that I've received, so honored. And everyone I see, I smile at them and send them love from my heart. And I go outside and I sit under my favorite tree with my back up against the trunk of the tree. And I take my first bite of that plum. So exquisite. I could taste the Shakti in this plum. I can smell the dirt that the plum tree grew in that yielded this plum. I'm aware of the rain and the wind and the rotation of the earth, all of it. One elegant wholeness in the plum. The whole of existence is in this plum, in every bite. Oh my goodness. This is true humility. Humility is the way home. aware that all of existence, all the wholeness of Source Essence is in all of the unique expressions within each of us and within everyone and everything. One pure totality of being. One divine play of consciousness. Oh, yes.